Hi, thank you for tuning in. I hope you caught the last episode where we shared our views on what's happening in northern Laikipia with private ranches getting invaded. Please make sure you watch that in case you didn't. In this episode, I'm going to be addressing an issue that's come up even in our own processes when it comes to investing in land, and that has to do with succession. Succession basically means a passage of property from one person or entity to another after death. So stay tuned. I'll be sharing some of my thoughts and experience with this. You're watching On Land in Kenya, and I'm Solomon Wangwe. So what's succession? Succession means someone owned a property and they died or passed away for whatever reason, and there was maybe no will in place, or maybe there was. How does that property move from that individual to the next? So this is a very technically legal thing to handle, and can be made, very complicated, especially in cases where there was no will beforehand. So the owner didn't leave any instructions ahead of time saying what they wanted to happen with the property. So how do you deal with that situation? We've experienced this ourselves in the family, and also when we're buying land from particular individuals. There's one case in particular where we were buying land from two brothers in the Konza area, Kajiado side of Konza. I think it was 10 acres. We were purchasing from this family, two brothers, who had basically inherited the land from their dad. And the dad left the title deed transferred into the names of both sons, so that both of them co-own the property. So if you looked at the title deed, both their names were listed as the owner. And so we were buying the property from the two of them jointly. They both had to sign the sale agreements. Their wives had to give consent. Fortunately, they didn't have any adult children, so we didn't need consents from those. The chief was involved, a couple of neighbors as well. I've shared before about how to buy land from families. In this case, very important that you do it right to avoid any mines in the process or issues regarding your ownership thereafter. And we followed everything to the T. And so we made our commitment, we paid a deposit, and they began the process of subdivision of the 10 acres from a larger piece that they owned. I believe it was somewhere around 150 acres in total. Sadly, I think it was about a month or so later, subdivision processes can take long. I think we'd accounted for 90 days for that process to be complete. And 30 days into that process, the younger of the two brothers died because he was carried off by a flash flood in the area. And very sad situation, completely unexpected. And naturally threw our acquisition process into turmoil, because one of the owners is now no longer living. So what's supposed to happen? In this case, succession kicks in. And this is a legal process handled by the courts, where you have to present, letters of administration. The family needs to agree on what's going to happen, who then takes the place of the deceased owner as far as the interest or equitable interest is concerned. Do you sell or do you not sell anymore, and what's supposed to happen? And this process, if you do it clean, morally and right, in Kenya, generally, in most cases, will take up to 12 months to successfully complete. And that means the court gives directions as to who is to take the equitable interest in that property going forward. And that affects decisions about buying, selling, subdividing, transferring, gifting, whatever it may be. And needless to say, the family was in a difficult position. They needed money to handle this process, to pay lawyers. Gazettements have to be done. Any issues thereafter have to be addressed. The courts generally, as I've said before, handle this process in a period of about 12 months. But the family was impatient. They didn't want to wait that long because they had more urgent need for the money. So Unfortunately, they bribed someone in the registry to remove the green card in the file. And I've shared about the green card before. If you haven't watched that video, please go back and check the archives. The green card basically gives birth to your title deed, contains history of ownership from 1963 up to present. And they basically had the official at the registry switch out the green card to say that only the living brother owned the property, and therefore there was no longer any need to go through succession because only the older brother's name was now in the record, and they produced a new title deed in the living brother's name so that we could conclude the transaction. We had problems with that for many different reasons. First of all, because it's illegal. You're not supposed to do that. Second of all, it's immoral, and that's more important to us than the legality. So we recused ourselves from the transaction. They gave us back our deposit, and they proceeded to sell the land to someone else. I happen to know that the new buyer had very many issues. I think it took them almost 3 years to get their title deed and their ownership secured. Very messy process. I would never recommend that. So what was supposed to happen? As I said, you're supposed to follow due process as laid out by the law. Generally takes 12 months for papers of administration, the administrator to get appointed, documents to be re-registered properly. Instead of switching out green cards and creating fake records, you're supposed to go through the process to say so-and-so passed away, here are the court papers to prove so, death certificates, family consents, land board consent to transfer the ownership, change name of ownership, and further land board consents to transfer after subdivision. So it's a very specific process. You need to hire the services of a professional and a qualified, licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya to assist you. It can be a minefield. Different scenarios require different approaches. So consult an attorney, and you should be in good hands as far as that is concerned. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, maybe you're going through a similar situation, please feel free to share. If you have comments to make, reach out to us, Facebook. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and send your questions through that. You can send us an email, enquiry@goshenacquisitions.com, or even give us a call, 0700010001. Again, that's 0700010001. We'd be happy to share our experiences with you and also recommend the right professionals to help work through that situation. You've been watching Own Land in Kenya. I am Solomon Wangwe. Stay tuned for more information on strategic land investment.